attention.
Hello and welcome to Voltas presents Cricbuzz Live. That IPL bullet train has moved to Ahmedabad and Gujarat will want to forget what that 14-year-old kid did to them. They want to pick these 2 points up and go up to that 14 club points, and Hyderabad, they want to pick up these 2 points and survive another day. Joining me on this train ride today, I have two youngsters who are refreshed. They've come back after a little vacation. Shaun Pollock with a one-day break, and Bhattacharjya, who's had a really long break. Were you at the Maldives as well?
I just had to be there because if you notice what happened in the Maldives, they were playing a lot of volleyball.
Correct.
And as you know, I run a volleyball league, so I just thought I'd be around it.
But were you playing volleyball with Hyderabad or were you hanging out with KP?
Because I think KP's Maldives trip is over. I chose Hyderabad to go with. It's one of those ones. Everyone has to make choices. I'm sure he would have picked KP, but not me. I know Pat for a long time, so I think it's a better choice.
Well, Hyderabad's boosting that Maldives tourism along with Bhattacharjya, and everyone's going to be following suit. But when have we seen this happen? In the middle of the IPL, a team goes who's not really had the best season. Is it just to get their mind off and not think of what's been happening? They went after a win against Chennai. But when have we seen this happen, Joyda?
Look, I was talking to Polly about this also. Almost definitely this has been fixed before. This is not something you do at the last minute. They've looked at that break, they'll say, okay, we want to. And perhaps at that time when they planned it, given the season they had, they'd probably say, this will be a time in the season for us to sort of think. I don't think they would have thought they'd be going in such a desperate situation. Yes. But I personally, I've not seen such a long break. 2-3 days, three and a half days almost. That's a very long time. But I personally don't mind it because it's not as if you're going to change your game in 3 days, two practices, 3 practices in this heat is not going to change your game. And I feel if it helps, what I have a problem with actually, to be honest with you, is that a lot of people go in different directions, which has happened before.
You'd rather stay together.
Yeah, so 5 guys going here, 3 guys going here, 2 guys. 1 guy missing, it can happen, you need something specific. But if the team scatters in the middle of a season, I don't think it's a great idea. If the team goes together, they spend some time together, they don't really need to play cricket. All of them know the game, all of them are, when you reach the IPL level, all of your top players, you're not going to be able to crack over personal, technical defects in this much time. Let them enjoy themselves. Their state of mind, I think, is a very important part of what they are now.
Polly, did you like taking a break, or did you like just being in that zone? Which kind of a play?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember. We at one stage, we did give the guys time off. We had 6 days or whatever it is, and particularly the guys who were local, we kind of sent them home. I know Sanath went back to Sri Lanka the one year, and he hadn't got the most amount of runs, so I told him when he went there, come back with the other bats. The ones that have got the runs in it, and he came back and he got 100. I can remember him walking off the field saying to me, you see? I got my 100. But as Joy is saying, we did discuss it off air, and there's no doubt it was part of the plan. They were thinking we were going to be probably qualified by this stage. It would be nice just to have a break, the guys just to chill. And it's a longer tournament this year, so you do understand the thinking. The problem is when you don't perform well and you're sitting where you are on the table, it comes across in the wrong way. But if they were flying high, everyone would have thought, what a great idea. They've sent them to relax and rejuvenate themselves, pick up that energy for the second half of the tournament. But the way they've gone, maybe 2 weeks' time, they'll be on holiday anyway.
But well, they are holidaying together, and hopefully, like you felt, they might come back refreshed, and you never know, this could be the turnaround for Hyderabad. They have won the toss and they have decided to bowl first, and Gill said that they would have liked to bowl as well. Joyda, sorry, you were saying something?
No, please, yeah. So, no, I was just thinking that if given the way Hyderabad is constructed, I think most of it is in their minds, and they can take sort of inspiration from the fact that when the Deccan Chargers is around, which is also a Hyderabad team, they were in 2010. They were 3-7, almost exactly the same position, and they won their last 4 matches and they qualified. So a Hyderabad team has literally won their last 4 matches and qualified. So they can take something from there.
So mathematically right now they need to obviously win all their games and they still will make it into that play.
I think if they get 16, they should make it. But this year it's a very strange table
tight,
because a lot of people are up there. And I have a feeling DC, because if they had that extra point, that 13, they are in a bit of an advantage because it gives them an extra point. They'll unlikely to be a run rate issue unless some other teams have matches which are rained out. So I think, it's really important now that Gujarat play well. And for Hyderabad, they have no choice.
Yes.
They have got to win all their matches and then hope for things to happen their way.
I think also it's unusual that you had 3 people win so few games. Normally they've each won 1 or 2 more, which means those guys at the top haven't got away from them. But the fact that they've only played 9 is still the positive, and they can have a look at it. And funny enough, that they are a side that if they do click and your 4 or 5 batters get going, they can beat anyone on their day. So that's the one positive that they've got to be looking at. But we just got to see where it's going to come from because it hasn't looked like a good unit at the moment.
But well, they did things right against CSK. So if there are 3 things that they need to remember coming into this game after that nice little break, Joyda, Polly, what do you think those 3 things should be?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think they took for granted and underestimated the youngster. I think their game plan was trying to blast him out at the top of the order. That didn't work. I think they missed a few opportunities. There was 2 opportunities I can remember. One was obviously Josh Buttler dropping the catch. I think it was Jaswell. I think it was at the 7th or 8th delivery. And then there was another chance for Siraj. He was on the edge of the ring, or they'd gone 6-6, and he wasn't on the edge of the ring, and he probably should have got under one, which would have meant they got both those openers out. And then the spinner, why wait so long? I'm forgetting his name.
Sai Prakash,
yeah. Why did that take so long?
Sorry, Kai.
Yes, so we are talking with Gujarat, the 3 things that you would like them to see. Okay.
So that was the things that they got wrong. SRH, I think they just got to find their combinations. I just somehow think a partnership at the top of the order. I mean, if those 2 fire at the top of the order, all of a sudden we're off and running.
Well, we saw them against CSK Joyda and they played sensible cricket. We saw Ishan Kishan not going the baseball away. He played slowly. He got those 44 runs. So do you think it is adapting to that? Do you think it's changing their batting strategies?
See, I think what's the important thing? I think today also they're bowling.
Yes.
I think it's important. I think Ishan, when he was chasing 153, did the sensible thing. He turned around and said, let me play according to this. This is 153. It's not 200. I think when they're setting a total, they have unrealistic expectations at this point in time. And when your batters are not in form, it gets worse and worse. And I think the temptation, especially for Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma, is to hit their way out of trouble, which hasn't worked for them. So I think last time was a sensible game. So that's the one thing they did right. Ishan Kishan was. And it's going to work for them this time also because they're chasing a target. So they'll know what is there in mind. They don't have to say that, okay, 220 is enough,
setting
230 is enough.
something, correct.
So that's one. Secondly, I think it's very important, they've already done it right, that Cummins to Mendes is coming to the side. And the reason I say that is not so much, he's bowled, he's taken this one wonderful catch. But what happens if Cummins to Mendes comes into the side is, in their batting unit, Cummins goes to number 8. Because, and he's basically replacing a bowler. They had used a bowler before this. So my point is that you felt that they depended too much on their top order to deliver, and when they didn't, they were in trouble. With Cummins to Mendes coming in, you have one more batter out there. That means you at least bat 7. So I think that is the second important thing that's really important for them, to have Cummins to Mendes in there, because he gives them that all-rounder and versatility. Okay, and again on a pitch like this, which, let me tell you, if Gujarat has invited them to play here, they're not going to give them a flat deck.
Yes.
This is going to take turns. So Cummins to Mendes will be really useful out here. And the third thing I really believe that they've done, which they should have done a long time back, is bring Nitish Reddy back to 6. They played Nitish Reddy a 4 a very long time. He's a very talented batter. Who goes up
for you?
Yeah, huh?
Who goes up for you then?
You don't need to bring... So basically what they did last time, if you remember, is that they went with Ishan Kishan. They went with Ishan at 3, Klaasen at 4. Then you have Mendes at 5. You can go Nitish Reddy at 6. That actually makes sense because, then you've got... Klaasen is an international bat. You're putting a lot of pressure at 4 for a guy. Okay, he's done well in the BGT in the 1 or 2 innings that he's got. But Nitish Reddy there's too much pressure on him. And what's happening is because he's injured, he's not bowling as well. So that means there's a lot of pressure on him because he feels that he's got to do it all with the bat. And I think 4 is early for him.
All right, let's have a look at Gujarat's playing 11. They will be batting first and see if they have any changes in for today, their home game. We spoke about this yesterday with Gill. Kotse is in, and unfortunately for Jannat, he's out because of that big 30-run over that he had. But are you happy with this change, Polly?
Yeah, I mean, Kutse would have been chomping at the bit. I know him, obviously being a South African, he would have been dead keen to get on there. And I think he'd be looking to charge in and try and ruffle a few feathers. You know, he's got a good mix of being able to bowl some quick short pitch deliveries. I think for them, though, they'll actually be trying to think from a batting perspective. I mean, they were so comfortable in posting that 200 the other night. But I think at the end of the day, they probably look back and think, should we have gone harder?
Yeah.
Was it actually more than just a 200 wicket, which is a bit of a surprise. But they are playing so well in the top 3. So it just has to be more of the same. And then maybe they have to be just aware that if things do go well for the first 10 or 12 overs, that maybe they need to try and pull the trigger a bit quicker.
Can we have a look at that again? Because
we'll have a look at that and the impact list as well right after, because there is just 3 aeroplanes there, Joyda. So I will want to have a look at that impact list and see who sits in that impact list. There is Rutherford there. So do you see them using him? Because he's been good with the bat.
Yeah, but Rutherford only, see, this is their standard thing. Rutherford will come in if they lose wickets.
Yes.
And the Rutherford come in if they lose wickets. Otherwise, what happens is it gives them an extra bowling option. Let's look at that again.
So Arshad or Ishan?
Ishan came in last game.
Yeah, they could try Arshad also. I mean, it's up to them. They could try Arshad as well, because Ishant has had, I think, last match. But again, if you go by the last match,
I think
nobody's bowling analysis.
They want to delete that last match from their memory.
But those are the 2 options. They would want to go with a bowling option because that's what they like to do. Bat 6 batters. If the 6 batters deliver, great. If they're not, they'll sub in another extra batter. But keep it so you'll always have 5 bowlers. But hey, if those 6 batters deliver, get in the 6th bowler. Because then you have 6 genuine bowlers. So that's their strategy. It's worked well for them. See, I think again, they will tell themselves, probably in my head, this 209 that we scored last time, 8 times out of 10, even under a pitch like that, it will win us the match. Okay? It just happened one of these days. And they'll just say that, don't go overboard. B is that I think this pitch is not going to be that kind of pitch.
But we talk about SRH and how they've gone to the Maldives. It was the same case for GT the other night, wasn't it? Because they had the 4 or 5 days off.
Yeah.
They're sitting on top of the table, they're performing well, they think, well, everything is going according to plan. So your practices and everything might not have had that same intensity thinking, oh, we've got this covered. That last game will have got them back into clear focus. I'll be very surprised if they let themselves down game plan-wise or even with lack of energy tonight.
Let's have a look at Hyderabad's playing 11, see if they have any changes for today. They don't have any changes. They have gone ahead with the same team. And again, just 3 planes on that 11. We'll have a quick look at...
because Travis Head comes in.
Yes. So, of course, Head comes in, which is... pretty obvious there with Hyderabad. They will, of course, be bowling first. So, Head has some time to relax. He'll keep his feet up and do nothing for 20 overs. But with Gujarat, I just wanted to understand is that last game, we understand that that tornado, that little kid came in and they don't want to think of what happened. But 3 things that they could have done differently. Shubman wasn't on the field because of that back spasm. But would you have done anything differently if you were in
No, absolutely. I mean, 2 things. One is that, combinations are a great thing, this whole left-right and right-left. But I think everyone is now realizing that sometimes you do it too much. I mean, now why would you unsettle? If today, Mumbai goes in with a right and left bat, okay, would you say that if Rickleton gets out, you don't send in Surya? I mean, I think it's ridiculous because Surya is your best number 3. I mean, to exchange it around just because it's left, right all the time doesn't make sense. So I think they will be very sensible about that they will throw Sai Kishore and say that he's a quality bowler. I mean, for any kid to hit him, Sai Kishore can drag it wide.
Yes.
He's a very wily bowler. Don't give a top bowler like that the ball. So I think that's one thing they did. 2 is they didn't look as if they had a plan against him at all. And I think that's what you're going to see more and more which is why it gets difficult for the kids because the first couple of matches, they're not really scouted out. Now anyone coming towards, knows exactly where the ball goes for, Vaibhav Suryavanshi, where he hits the ball, where they should bowl to him. So I think they'll be much more prepared. I think they'll prepare a surface to their liking. And I think it'll be a surface which is not going to be a surface that suits batters like Hyderabad who go wham, bam, hit it really hard. So I think they're going to do that. And I think their bowling plans are going to be, I mean, they've done the Karim Jannat experiment. It's not worked. I'd like to see what they do this time. I think they'll change it.
Getting the spinner in earlier too, because I thought the change of pace they didn't do in the last game.
Absolutely.
They were kind of trying to fight fire with fire, where you have to have that ability just to mix things up. And then obviously that vital catching. Catches win matches. It's an old adage, but they'll be needing to be as sharp as they possibly can. But I think also going home, they're playing okay.
Yes.
I think it'll be a nice vibe around the ground.
See, also their problem has been, because while they've been sitting, they've lost this one match. And see, they've not played for a while. Delhi's won. Bangalore won. Mumbai won. So what's happened is all the top teams have won.
Yes.
So that's why they're under more pressure. None of those teams have dropped matches. And that would have put a lot more pressure on them.
But Polly, Gill wasn't captaining that last game. How impressed have you been with Gill, the captain? Do you think he's come of age, or do you think he still needs a few battle scars?
No, I think he's definitely coming of age. I think he's very calm. I think he's leading from the front from a batting perspective, which was part of the captaincy job. I think he's had a good bowling attack this year, and he's used it really well. I think he would have learned a lot of lessons from the first year. You know, it's not easy. You come and you take over, and your team's won, and then just made a final, and now you're in charge. It's not an easy shoes to step into. And he's relatively young, and I think he would have learned a lot. I think he's more confident in his own ability as a captain, and I think that's the key. But yeah, they probably would have missed him the other night. You know, when you've got everything working and you kind of always turn into one chap, all of a sudden he's not there, it can cause a bit of an issue in the camp. And then obviously the start that they got, they kind of needed a calm head just to try and get things back on track. And I think he'll be good tonight.
Well, Nehra and Vikram Solanki and the management have really backed him, and they've said that, you know, he was a man. This is something that Colonel Arvinder Singh had to say when Hardik moved on. We chose to invest in Shubman. This decision indicated that we were investing in Shubman for the long term, not just for a single season. The results of that investment are now evident. The transformation in his leadership from last year to this year is remarkable. Joyda, you've seen him literally grow from that little kid because you've spent time with him in KKR. Did you see him blossoming into this big leader?
And I mean, Simon Dole, I remember, came here, and those are the days, if you remember 2019, that was the World Cup in New Zealand, and Dooley came back and said, you know, you guys are talking about, everyone's talking about Prithvi Shaw, because Prithvi Shaw was the captain of that team, then made it to the Indian team, got a century on debut. But he says the guy you need to watch out for is Shubman Gill, and he reckoned that Shubman Gill was yards ahead in terms of his timing and all. I mean, that's for debatable because, you know, Prithvi Shaw's career is temporarily off the rails. He hopes he come back soon. But even then you had that kind of a temperament. You saw a couple of shots there which are not. You know, he'll time one over the onside or he'll drive one, and you know, that's sheer class. So all that you needed from him was over time to get consistent. And that's what he did last year. If you see his last year's record, he's had a lot of starts which didn't convert. And this is really a problem because remember, he's had the second highest ever IPL season. The year before that, 890 odd runs. So after that, the next year you're getting 30s and 40s, and then you're getting out. And then you're saying it's a combination. Captaincy is also playing on his head. Everything's playing on his head. I feel he's more relaxed this year because they've had time to work with him. So he also understands that he's less anxious. You get very anxious when you're a very young captain. And I think he's settling in really well. And the fact that, you know, Arvinder Singh is from Punjab, Nehra is Punjabi, he's a good Punjabi, so I think it's all set out there.
But also technique-wise, if you've got a different technique or a strange technique, someone like, for example, like a putter runner from a bowling side, if you lose form, it's difficult to find it again. When you've got the class and the technique of Shubman Gill, even if you go through a bad patch, it's very easy to pick it back up and get back on track because it's just orthodox shots you're playing rather than you taking high risk and that coming off. Like someone like for example, like a Maxwell. if he's trying to implement stuff, he's probably going to fail. Where Shubman Gill, you just think if he just gives himself enough time, invariably he's going to get runs. So I'm not surprised that he's been as consistent as he has.
Well, Polly, it's interesting you say that about his technique because he quintessentially looks like just the most solid, traditionally good-looking cricketer. You know, I think it was in 2022, he said that he wants to try those cheeky shots in the IPL because pretty much everyone was playing that. But is his consistency because of just being so solid technically, traditionally, or is it just the way he paces his innings?
Yeah, the word that comes to mind is Josh Hazlewood. It's the same kind of thing. He's got that ability to be consistent, hit good areas. And he also probably would have fiddled around with slow balls and different Yorkers and different kind of things. They invariably, even once you go back to your strength, what is your strength? Play orthodox cricket shots. You can fiddle it from time to time if things are going according to plan or certain fields set. But your consistency comes through playing as low a risk as possible. And with that technique, if he plays normal cricket shots, his risk is very low.
Well, his risk is low and he's just coming out year after year. And even the year that he didn't really have the greatest, and he was not converting those starts, he got a 400-plus year, Joyda. So we see that year after year he comes and gets these runs since 2022. You've known him, obviously, since he was much younger. What is his prep like? Is he someone before a big tournament? Like, does he hype himself up? Does he spend a lot of time in the nets, like endless hours?
Yeah, he's a net machine. He's a net machine, and again, classical batting net machine. Wants to play for India in all three formats. So all that is very clear in his head. And now, when you look at the preparation of anyone who wants to play all three formats, he's just going to bat a lot more in the nets because he needs to have, you know, that ability to be able to change his technique. Fortunately, because his basic technique is very simple and very orthodox and very traditional, therefore his adjustment period is better. All he needs to do is to be able to say, which is why he's also suited. He has to open. If you have the kind of traditional technique, it's very difficult for you to play at 6 because when you come in at 6, you're expected to do these things, you know. Whereas if you open, you can still, the field is out, you have that ability to be able to get in. And after you get in, for you to try a few shots is okay. But he needs to get in, and he can get in just playing traditional shots. And I think it works for him. He's an absolute workhorse, you know. Kanal, I mean, the amount of time that he spends in the net, and you know, ESPN Star did a lot of stories of him from his village, from the time he practices, and work ethic wise, I mean, that's I think the single most important thing that, you know, distinguishes him. His work ethic is absolutely amazing.
Also, when he was younger, his father used to throw down like 1,500 balls, and he said that's how he got his short ball that's how he learned how to play the short ball well. But you spoke about that 3-format player. Do you see him in the Indian T20 11? Lots of chatter around it.
Yeah, I mean, let's not get me wrong. I mean, he's more than good enough. But the Indian team's gone well. They've played good T20 cricket. And Surya's got a new bunch of people where he's running with different players at the top of the order, obviously after the retirement of Kohli and Sharma. And the thing about teams is you've got to be consistent. So the fact that the RPL comes along and people can put their hands up and say, look at me, look at me, look at me, look what I'm doing, what am I doing? You still go back to your consistency of who was my team before the RPL, and we'll give them a run again, because playing for India is different than playing for a franchise. So I wouldn't want them to change. I think you need to be consistent, but there's no doubt he's knocking on the door, he's doing it in the right way. Amount of runs you get is important. And I mean, he's in the picture, but whether he'd be into the side now, I'm not so sure.
Well, Joyda, there is really a chock-a-block traffic there with those openers, but do you see him making it in the 11?
That's what. I see him in the squad, if possible.
Yes.
But Abhishek Sharma, Sanju Samson, Yashasvi Jaiswal. I mean, you're looking at 3 quality players. Abhishek Sharma and Sanju Samson have had this outstanding season where they've scored century after century. It's really the amount that they've scored. If you look at the kind of so going by data, and again the fact that, you know, you're looking at that and saying, remember the next T20 World Cup is to be in India. So you're looking at guys who have really scored big in subcontinental conditions in the recent past. So it's for him to break into that top 4 will be very difficult. The other thing is that if you look at a World Cup side, traditionally the World Cup teams are 15 members, right? So if you're looking at 15 members, what you'll need is, if you know who your openers is, you're likely, so let's assume he doesn't make it as openers. You'd like to have that spare player as a guy who can either play as an opener or play in the middle order. Because you'll play an extra spinner, you're likely to play an extra keeper bat, and you're likely to play probably another fast bowler. So the slot that he needs to be, because he's very traditionally an opener, either he'll be there or he's unlikely to be there in the 15. Either his name is put down there or he's unlikely to be in the 15. That's my reading, just because a 15-member squad is a very difficult squad for you to do too much with.
Well, there's still some time for that, but lots of chatter around whether Shubman's going to be in that 11 or not. And that chatter around Shubman is because of how consistent he's been. But Polly, if you were in that bowling unit, you know what Shubman, Sai Sudarshan and Buttler have done for Gujarat. So if you were the bowling coach right now for Hyderabad, what would you be telling the bowlers? How are you getting this top order out early?
Yeah, I think try and get them to take as many risks early. I think that would be the key, and they can maybe make a mistake because they've seemed so poised and really unfussed at the top of the order, and that's what's been impressive about them. I think Buttler's also been really good. When he first comes to the crease, I think they need to kind of mix it up a little bit with him and try some different tactics, because if they can get through that initial top order, those other guys haven't spent that much time at the crease, and then there's the opportunity. But if it's going to be more of the same and the top three is going to get them off to a good start and put some big scores in the first 10, they're going to have to be a little bit more composed.
Well, we've seen what Harshal's been doing this season. He's picked up 13 wickets. So you think he's going to be a key today for Hyderabad to get these 2 points under
I
their
thought you said Harsha.
Yeah. For a moment, I said Harsha's key. I said, wow. He's just.
I thought you were talking about the pitch report.
We know that Harsha is an avid Hyderabad supporter, but we're talking about the harsh reality, Harshal.
Harshal, no. Look, I think Harshal will be very important because this is a pitch for their own sake. They'll have a pitch that definitely will have pace-off. So if pace-off is a factor, somebody like Harshal is vital to them. Their big problem is that Shami's not been, since he's come back from the injury, he's not been the bowler that we've seen. Seam position is good, but that little bit of bite, What happens with somebody like Shami is his action is there, but the extra 5 or 10 kilometers that he had when he was just at peak physical fitness, he might get back to it, but he doesn't have it right now. But, if Shami doesn't take wickets up front, then it's really going to depend on Harshal. And I think their bowling attack is slightly undermanned, and it'll be important for them to get wickets up front against this kind of team, because this is a team that will grind you with its first three, and then the likes of Tewatia and Shahrukh will just swing at you. So they've got everything. That way Gujarat has a game plan. And these guys will have to be very careful about how if they allow the top three to get away, then they're in trouble.
Well, those wickets up top are very important, but what Harshal has been doing is picking those wickets in the death overs. He's picked up 64 wickets in the death overs since 2021. And Polly, I wanted to ask you, every time you're in the studio, I love getting my geeky questions in, but Harshal Patel has spoken about just the variations in his slower balls. And he said that there was this one year where he was getting found out. And he said that he's included 2 more variations now. One which is a ball that dips in slowly and the one which has more top spin to it. So what is this difference and how do batters kind of understand the difference?
So you can do your orthodox slower balls where they kind of roll their fingers across it. But the most effective ones have been some like, remember Dwayne Bravo?
Yes.
He used to have a bit of a dip to it, and it ends up having to come out of the top. So as I say, you can't release it there. You kind of need to get it come out of the top so that it gets.
So they look at the grip.
Well, it's the way they adjust it and hold it out, and then also the release. So the release is not to come up normally and just roll across it. They actually try and cut down and so that it pops out. It's almost like a toppy from a leg spinner that they try and implement. And where he bowls, he's going to pick up wickets. That's the key. Is like the thing about him is it's whether he can pick up wickets and not go for lots of runs, because invariably he's bowling 2 or 3 of his overs at the back end, and they're going hard at him. And some of these grounds are small, some of these batters, it also depends on who you find. So you come in and someone's on a 50 already. It's a difficult job to do, but when you come in and there's wickets that fall, and then your variations can be mightily effective. So I agree with Shami. I think Shami might have a bit more tonight. He hasn't really got that ball to nip around. You think of when he used to open that bowling. I think of a couple of those spells with Hardik back in GT days when they were getting to really nip. That was when he was at his most effective. So maybe I get good vibes from being there tonight.
Yeah, because the problem with Shami is that Shami you have to use up front, and he's not the best death bowler in the world because he doesn't enjoy following fields and bowling to his field. Shami is the kind of guy who will say, okay, my field is there, let me double guess, try something else. So he's best off trying to take wickets and,
Well, he picked up a wicket of his first ball in that last game, so hopefully he gets off to a good start as well. We don't have too much time, Joyda, so we have to quickly have a look at your question. We don't have the answers to it, but let's have a look at the question.
Yeah, but it's a fun question. Because there's only one test in the 21st century where in one innings for India, the opening bowlers in the first change were all debutants. Name all three. So literally the top three bowlers who came in to bowl were all debutants.
Interesting. It's a very interesting question. I have no idea what the answer is. So we will go straight to the prediction game, which Polly has been acing because he's going to go to 187 again.
I'm going to go for 187. I haven't been acing. You guys were acing it yesterday, apparently.
Yeah, yesterday everyone got everything.
Everyone got everything in both the innings. Yeah. You're sticking to 187.
Yeah.
Are you sure? There's Gujarat batting first.
You made me change last time. I'm not changing this time.
Yeah. I saw that. I mean, don't listen to her. Just stay there.
187 then for Polly. That's your number.
I like this batting side. 196.
196. Joyda has cheekily taken the exact number which I said I was going to predict before the game started.
Go 1
Well, you can go 196 as well.
Oh, you can go 186.
If you so believe in it.
Yeah.
No, we need to play like a team. That's what we did yesterday. We played like a team. So I will go with 192.
Okay.
Close by.
All sitting there.
Yeah, we're all sitting close by. Well, we'll see that points table of our prediction later. Let's have a look at that points table and where Hyderabad stand right now. They are at number 9, so they really want these 2 points. And Gujarat, of course, want to reach that 14. So both these teams desperately looking for these 2 points. And if we have to call it, is it Hyderabad? Is it Gujarat for you today?
I think Gujarat is too powerful.
For you, work.
I'll just say that Hyderabad will come good today. Their batters will click.
And they'll make?
Look,
Gujarat's batting.
Yeah, they'll make more than Gujarat.
Yes.
That's a correct answer.
Well, it's just Hyderabad. You don't know which side of the bed they wake up on. Today, Polly thinks they're waking up on that side where they will get 188 because Gujarat's going to get 187 according to him.
They're going to have Maldives vibes.
All right, we'll find out. Give you all the updates at the 10 point at the Cricbuzz com box. Thank you so much for watching. Voltas presents Cricbuzz Live.
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವ ರೈಲಿನ Hyderabad Express, Varanasi Station, Netaji Bhavan.